for approximately weekly, and it's only been a couple of days since the last one, but I'm ready to keep going and, you know, strike when the iron's hot. And if you have not started or, you know, whatever, you can take it at your own pace. So I've got a couple of things, and each time I do it, I'm going to review where we are so that you can kind of figure out where you caught up to. And I think I'm going to try to make like a little handout. We'll see. This is my first attempt at doing this kind of like, you know, training situation. So I'm gonna get my gloves on. And as a reminder, I wear gloves because crafting is hard on my hands, and I feel like my hands like just aren't really pretty all the time. And I don't want that to stop me from getting in here and working. So it's not like a safety thing. I don't think I'm not allergic to glitter or anything, but I do like to wear gloves just so it's a nicer experience for everyone. So y'all know this is kind of how I store my glue. I put it in a gigantic Ziploc bag with a wet paper towel in there, and that way nothing dries out. And then my glue and stuff is just ready to go. So I've got my glue here. So last time what we did is we got started. We got 3 round-toed shoes. Let me grab my shoes. So the goal is to average about 3 or 6 shoes per month. So these, we're starting chill and easy. These are going to be king cakes. And so I've got my 3 shoes that last time, since we're doing king cakes, they are monochrome. We did the inside, the outside. Now we need to do the bottoms. And you've got a couple of options with the bottoms, but we'll get into that. So we started with our 3 round-toed king cakes. And last week, mostly, we kind of got everything prepped. We sort of mixed all our, we triaged our glitter and got ready. You will maybe recall, or if you are not up to speed, I'm getting you up to speed. You will maybe recall that last sort of session, glittering session. And I am kind of committed to showing all the steps so that if you want to follow along, you can follow along. Last time we put all the dregs of like our Toasty Golds, Cafe au lait, Louis' First Horn. I put a little bit of gingerbread. I think I maybe even put a little bit of honeymoon and baked with love. And you could probably put a little bit of like baklava or subi or queen bee if you wanted a little bit of honey in there. But you can do that. And so I did that last week. Oh, thank you, girl. You know, you got to keep yourself entertained. So last session, we did the coats on these 3. And then we also got started on our pizza shoes. And I have good news, which is that I did thrift. I talked about how this is a very popular style, so it's always easy for me to find these. So I did get some. These are the kinds of shoes that I do my pizza slices with. So we can actually start these from the beginning, because last week I did not have some fresh, ready-to-go ones. But basically, for the pizza ones, you start by doing the silver on everything except the actual slice of pizza itself. So we're going to use the last of our baked glitter. And we've still got maybe like an ounce or 2. We're going to get started on that. All right. So just spreading my glue. And as a reminder, I use Mod Podge mixed about 50-50 with Aleene's, because that just has the best grip. It is, if you're somebody who's used to using straight Mod Podge just right out of the jug and you're not used to adding the Aleene's, it is going to feel a little harder to spread it thin. It's just going to feel a little more viscous, but it's worth it because it's going to really grip the glitter. All right. So you can do the sole and the heel, but you might get some sticking, so I'm just going to do the sole. All right. There we go. So we pour that everywhere. Do you make high heels or just decorate plain ones? So I'm in the, if you are new here, I'm in the Crew of Muses. We are a club in New Orleans. We do sculptural shoes that once a year we give out as gifts, is basically the long and short of it. And you can learn a lot about the Crew of Muses looking at the Crew of Muses website. All right, so she's ready to go. She's ready to dry. I'm just going to repeat this 3 times. because we're trying to get our numbers up. Muses are allowed to bring 30 shoes on the floats with us. So we're going to do 3 shoes a month for 10 months. And if we stick to that, we are going to be completely done before we actually hit the main season, and then we can enjoy our parties and stuff. Would you let her in? All right. So I'm just pouring glitter. Hey, girly. My cat is probably going to get in the way, but we'll be fine. All right. Glue, glitter, we pour it in on. I always do 2 coats. This is just the first coat. So we'll do this last. All right. Oh, now she wants out. You can let her out. my cat cannot make up her mind. So we're going through the rest of that. When this is dry, we will frost it and make it into king cake. But today we're just getting the glitter on. Today, all we're doing today is our base coat. Alrighty. So just like that, do you paint the shoes first? So here's the situation with painting your shoes or painting your throws in general. There are 2 kinds of glitter. There is opaque and there is semi-sheer. If you are using an opaque glitter, it does not matter what's underneath. You can put any color you want. You can start with a black shoe, you can start with a white shoe, or if you're doing grails or whatever you're doing, you can start with any color and if you put opaque on top, it does not matter. If you are doing a semi-sheer, you do need to prime. You need to paint white first, and I am going to absolutely cover that a little bit later. All right, so we've got the bottoms done on those 3. And so I was able to thrift. These are the shoes that I use for my pizza sculptures. So we can loop back around and kind of make that work. So what I'm going to do on these, and when you are thrifting shoes to do your sculptures, so it's tempting to overlook ones that have the straps, but if you do that, you won't have enough to work with. I just cut the straps off because if you were going to wear the shoes, you would need them to be functional. You would need those straps to support your ankles. But since we are making sculptures, they do not need to actually hold up. So with my X-Acto knife, I'm just popping out. But no, I only paint the shoes if I'm going to use a semi-sheer glitter on top. I do not paint if I'm doing anything opaque. And opaque just means the glitter does all the talking. Doesn't matter what color is underneath. My X-Acto blade is a little bit old, but that's fine. We'll take our time. And get it all carved out. So I hope everybody is recovering okay from their carnival season. It is always sort of a strange time when the season ends and you kind of feel that weird limbo. There we go. But I think also when you come out of a short carnival season, you have a little bit more energy. And so a great place to put that energy is to get a head start on the next season, because it is so very, very lovely to have a head start on the next season. And it comes around again before you know it. All right. So if you're doing shoe surgery, as I call it, feel free to go nice and slow because you don't want to cut yourself. And there are certain tasks that I think mix well with beverages. Base glittering, you can absolutely have a glass of wine and do your base glittering. But if you're doing shoe surgery, you want to do that stone cold sober. And I know that other throw makers, so if you're doing an Ala lamp or like a Grail or a Clio goblet, you probably don't do as much surgery. And that is your privilege. And you want the cuts to be relatively clean, but you are going to put some trim on that, so it's not a big deal. And part of me is like, oh, I'll do this later when people aren't like waiting. But I am committed to like actually showing what it looks like so that people have an accurate sense of what the timing is. yeah, I'm envisioning doing multiple shoes piece by piece on here. And so I will definitely cover how I paint. The way that I paint, if I need to prime a shoe, is I do a coat of Invisible Jet, which is a base coat that we have at Craft Culture. It's a glitter that just goes on first, and then you paint on top of that, and that gives you a really nice, strong white base. So y'all will hopefully bear with me as we do the nitty-gritty. So I did today, I've got my little dregs to do my base coat. So I've got my mix of the golds that I use for the base coat, but I did today go ahead and buy myself an 8-ounce bag of Fresh Clean Baked with Love. So that is a great way to save money on your throws. If you use something slightly contaminated or something where you mix all the little dregs together and sort of make yourself a little batch of especial, which is what we call it when we mix all the glitters together. That way you don't have to buy fresh glitter every single time. All right, so here we're going. All right. And I am doing a bunch of these pizza slices because I find them they're very chill. They go pretty quick. They're very forgiving, but they are really very cute. And as I mentioned in the last video, I have boys, and so I really like to make sure I throw to boys because I think, you know, people aren't necessarily as inclined to throw like a big high-heeled shoe to a boy, not to get like too gender rolled about it. But I find the slice of pizza shoes, I find those are really charming to throw to teenage boys or tween boys or what have you. All right. So we're just carefully, slowly cutting down through the layers of these straps so that our slices are ready to go. Okay. All right, so that's 2 down. And I talked a little bit last time about sort of how muses listen to the shoe. I had a hard time getting the glitter to patent shoes. Yes, 100%, 100%. What I will say about patent shoes is if you're running into that consistently, what you can do is give them a little bit of a buff with, if you do 2 coats and you're still having issues, give them a little bit of a buff with sandpaper before you do your first coat, or you can take nail polish remover and just kind of give it a once over with some nail polish remover just to kind of break up just kind of make it a little bit less water resistant. Because patent leather is very water resistant and the glue is water, so if you're putting a water-based glue on top of a water-resistant coat, that's going to happen. I love your hair. Thank you. I don't know why YouTube thought people who aren't in the crew of muses would be interested, but thank you. I guess that is what it is. So for folks who are not from New Orleans, I am in the crew of muses, which is a club that makes shoe sculptures. And I don't know. I guess it thought that people needed to see a blue-haired weirdo in New Orleans making shoe sculptures. Which, sure, who doesn't? All right. All right, almost done. This one came off a little easier. The straps were just a little thinner. All right. Ha! Love it. Happy to meet another poison dart frog haired weirdo. And I mean that is nothing but a compliment. The internet is a strange place. All right. So what we did last week is I spiked, which is what I call it when I mix a larger grain glitter. So like a confetti or a 1 millimeter, a 1 millimeter hex into an ultra fine. So last week I spiked DEA badge silver with some 1 millimeter, and that's what we're gonna go ahead and use. So when I make my pizza slices, I do the whole shoe except for this part in silver because I think that looks like the little scooping utensil. So we're gonna start from a blank shoe and we're gonna do silver glitter. So, and I mean, you never know. I have a friend who lives in California who has never been to New Orleans, let alone, she's certainly never been to Mardi Gras. She's never been, do we thrift these heels or get donations? Yes, both. It's hard to thrift shoes in New Orleans because so many women who are in the crew of Muses also thrift shoes. So it's much easier to thrift shoes if you go a little bit out of town or while you're on vacation. But I do get a lot of donations and I'm enormously grateful for them. So I'm a little low on my silver. Let's see what we got. So this is our DEA badge silver. And I keep my empty jars because I need them for mixes. And then this is Sail On Silver Girl, which is my 1mm. But yeah, I have a friend who lives in California who has never been to New Orleans, and she and some friends make some Muses shoes every year. So who knows what hobbies might grab you. All right, here we go. I will also say if you're having trouble getting just Mod Podge alone to stick, you might have better luck if you mix a little Aleene's in there. Mod Podge and Aleene's are the same kind of glue. They are PVA white glues, but Mod Podge is thinner and Aleene's is thicker. So I will say that the Aleene's is a little harder to spread, but it does have more grip. But no, I definitely I love shoe donations and I always am very grateful for them. And now that people know that I do this, they kind of leave shoes on my porch and stuff. I do have people look for shoes in less competitive spots. So I've got family around the country who send me shoes when they find them for me. All right, so she's nice and glued. I'm just gonna pour the glitter. And when my cup is empty, hey baby girl, the cat has joined us. I'm gonna pour that in. But no, if you've never heard of Muses, today was just a day that YouTube decided people wanted to have a cultural experience. And I'm all about that. I'm very happy to. I met a lot of people during COVID that way. Kitty. She is a pretty girl. She'll be here shortly. She'll come get nosy like she always does. All right. So I've got my silver on there and you can see the little bit of silver of Sail On Silver Girl kind of like adds a little bit of a punch, kind of makes it a little bit more dramatic. It's a little tough to see in here because the light's a little diffuse, but we're going to let her dry. We're going to go ahead and do her sisters and her cousins. And then through YouTube magic, I will move on to the next ones because I am doing a pretty big batch of the pizza slices. So we're starting very chill. I am going to do 3 shoes a month at least, and I'm probably going to do 2 designs times 3, so about 6 a month. Oh, here she comes. Fanny's here to say hi. That's my precious baby Fanny girl, Fanny Bryce. She has got a box in the corner with a heaty pad in it. She's got a box where she usually chills, but she gets a little nosy. And yes, she always has glitter on her, always. As we all do, so, you know, no problem with that. Do you want to go down to the rug or do you want to go get in your box? All right. Let's see. Just outside DC. Oh, cool. All right. Honey girl, do you want to go in your box? Do you want to go in your box or do you want to go down on the rug? We'll give Fanny a minute to decide what she wants her destiny to be, and then we will give her a scooch. She does want to be sparkly. Who doesn't? Glitter is great. I glitter for a living, but people are always like, oh, glitter, you'll never get rid of it. I don't want to get rid of it. I love glitter. Okay. Oh, she psyched me out. She went for the box, and then as soon as I started pouring glitter, she changed her mind. That's all right. I'm no stranger to working around my baby girl. All right. All right. All right. So that's 2. Almost dropped it, but that's all right. 1, 2. Is my glue gun plugged in? My glue gun is not plugged in. I'm going to take this moment to plug my gun in. I guess we'll find out if I actually got that plugged in. Fanny is the sweetest cat I've ever had, and I love her more than anything. She doesn't have a ton of brain cells that she's rubbing together to make sparks, but she does not need them. She's a sweetheart. I met Fanny because she was living underneath the porch at my best friend's house. Her mama had Fanny and 3 really big orange brothers who were kind of grouchy. And I went over to his house and she came out and started like being such a little personality. And I was like, who is that? And so he scooped her up and brought her to my house, and the rest is history. She charmed her way into inside cat life. She charmed her way into the good life. A wireless glue gun. I have never found I would love to know what brand of wireless glue gun you are using, because I have never found a wireless glue gun that I was enormously happy with. I will say I do know that some people enjoy a wireless glue gun. I personally have everything kind of set up. All right, there she goes, nice and glittered. I am curious what brand of wireless glue gun works for folks who are watching, because I'm pretty happy with I like Surebonder. That is the brand that we stock at the glitter store. We like them a lot. We have a good relationship with Surebonder. They are made in America. Love that. All right, here we go. Okay. So I'm just getting the first layer of silver glitter on these. Oh, nice. I will check out the wireless. I will holler at my girl at Surebonder and see, because I do like Surebonder a lot. I like the Surebonder dual temp and I like the Surebonder detail tip. I will have a look at the wireless, because I am always down to try new crafty tools and toys. All right, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Girls have gotten their silver glitter, and if you use your imagination, those would totally dry. Okay, and so I have got these I did last time, so we're going to pretend like these have had plenty of time to dry. I typically give it like overnight, but you know, your schedule may sort of vary. I will say when it's cold outside and you have the heater running, glue is going to dry faster. If it's humid in the summer, glue is going to dry very slow. Oh, that is interesting. I will look into that. Thank you very much for the recommendation. All right. So what I want to do on these, I'm going to go ahead and start building out my crust, I think. So what I've got is like some upholstery rope. And my glue gun, yes, my glue gun is warmed up. So with the rope, this I just pulled off of an old cushion. It was an abandoned project in my late mother's sewing pile. You do need to tape off the ends of the rope or it will fray. And nobody wants that. Post-carnival, I really need some new scissors, and I will get them. That is usually part of my reset, because, you know, if you're doing a lot of hardcore shoe sculpture, you do tend to beat up your scissors a little bit. All right, she's all good. I'm going to put a little bit of glue to kind of And this is going to be my crust on my slice of pizza. So I did my first coat of glitter. I did silver on the inside, on the heel, on the bottom, because a Muses shoe, to be a true Muses shoe, has glitter on every single surface, including inside the shoe and on the bottom. And if you're new to looking at Muses shoes, you might be like, how are you gonna wear them? We don't wear them, they're sculptures, they're for display. You can maybe see on the top shelf, I have some girls who are on display, who various friends and Muses have gifted to me, but it is a display piece, it is a piece of art. All right, I am hot gluing the crust onto the pizza. And in general, things that are kind of bendy, I prefer to assemble them and then glitter them. Once assembled, my fear is that if I glittered the tube of the crust and then glued it in place, it would crack or it wouldn't lie correctly. So it's a little more annoying to glue it because I'm going to have to watch my edges, but that looks good. All right, so a little bit of tape on the end of the rope. I can tell where it's going to land based on the glue. So yes, these are objects of art that are displayed. They are not to be worn. All right, I've got my tape. Okay. Sawing through it nice and patiently. All right. So that's taped down. Gonna glue that down and let it sit. And once it's all covered with glue and glitter, you won't notice the little nooks and crannies and stuff. I am noticing a few little loose threads and stuff, but again, the glue and the glitter is gonna catch all of that. No problem. And so now I'm kind of going in and filling in a little bit of reinforcement with the hot glue, making the crust sit nice. All right. All right. Just got our little crust. And when she's totally glittered, I'll put silver trim around the bottom just to make the edges clean. And I do find I'm used to doing tutorials that are a little bit more, I'm trying to be like as efficient as possible. So I do find myself saying, okay, and you repeat that 3 times, but I'm very committed to like actually showing what the process looks like, because I'm like, oh, we're going to do 3 shoes a month for 10 months. And I don't want to like skip any steps and have people be like, I don't know how long that's going to take me. I want to give you the tools you need to get your shoes done in an organized, timely fashion. But let's see. All right, almost half an hour. We're doing good. I was considering starting the next shoe design, but I don't think I even need to. I think we can get our coats here, and that's plenty for today. So a lot of people are still tired, and some people are going to start working on their St. Patrick's Day stuff. So, you know, we don't need to do everything at once, even though we're feeling ambitious. All right. That looks pretty good. Again, I'm going to peel it up a little bit and put some tape. So that the rope doesn't want to unravel. And I know where to cut it. And if the crust comes a little short, it's not a big deal. It's a sculpture. It's, you know, you kind of get the idea of what it's sort of trying to be. A little bit of hot glue. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. I use a lot of hot glue. I'm very generous with the hot glue because these have to survive their trip on the float. And so I want them to be strong. And I'm kind of making a little seam with the hot glue, knowing that I'm going to cover it all up with the glitter. All right, 1, 2, 2 slices down. third slice, and then we can glitter. And then we can check on our king cakes. See where we're at on those. I have a little piece of rope that's kind of hanging loose. I could snip that off, but I know I'm going to cover it with the glitter, so I'm not too worried. Hopefully people can see okay. I know the lighting in here isn't terrific. But we're not going to let the perfect be the enemy of the done. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. I think I'm almost at the end of my glue stick. It's all right. I will get more at the shop tomorrow. The shop has been closed for a week to recover from Mardi Gras. Oh, I have just enough to make it. It's a miracle. I think. I spoke too soon. I have just enough to make it. And I will get more hot glue at the shop tomorrow. The shop has been closed while we all recover from Mardi Gras, but we are ready to get rolling again. So the shop will be open again tomorrow on Tuesday. And we are always closed on Monday, so that's not a carnival thing. All right. Okay. Last little bit. Last little bit of hot glue. And that's going to have to do it because we're out of hot. My stick is... It's all right. I'll get more tomorrow. People come into the glitter store and they're like, oh, I came in here with a list and I still forgot stuff. I'm like, if it makes you feel better, me too. I come in here every day and I still forget things that are on my list. Okie doke. My elbow. Oh, my gun's over there. I'm good, but thank you. All right, so I'm gonna switch over to a smaller brush. And now I'm gonna make it all crust colored. And you do have to kind of get into the nooks and crannies, but if you miss a spot, you can catch it on a touch-up. No shame in a touch-up game. And I'm doing the crust first so that I can come in clean with the silver glitter when the crust is dry. And I've already put one coat of the crust color on my pizza slice. And I can see that I'm bleeding over into the silver, but that's fine because I still have a second coat of silver to do. And so I shall. I'm not going to go all the way down because I am going to put... I appreciate it. All right. Getting all the little nooks and crannies. And I am sure I've missed spots. I am sure that there are spots where my glue was too thin, but I am not going to let that worry me right now because I can always come back in and touch it up. All right, so with my little brush, I got the crust. I think I am gonna, no, I'm gonna do another coat on top of this. So I'll go ahead and use my base coat, my slightly contaminated baked glitter. And if the color of the crust is a little different from the rest of the slice of pizza, it just got a little more toasted. Nothing wrong with that. All right, one down. Two to go. And then we'll see how our king cakes are doing because we can probably do the heel. And then that means that next time, oh, we still got to do our second coats. We're going to commit. We're going to do it correctly. So next time we'll do our second coats on our king cakes. We'll do our second coats on the silver portion of the slices of pizza. And so the session after that, we'll start layering other things on. We're going to do it in real time. We're going to do it the way it, the way it happens in the craft rooms. Not too loud, bud. some schools were out in New Orleans today. Luckily, ours was not one of the schools that was out. All right. You know, we're working a little bit quick, but nothing wrong with that. Getting it done. Beautiful. Okie-dokies. All right. And I'm only going a little bit down because I am going to put the red pizza sauce on top of the bottom portion. So I only need a little bit of extra baked with love. 1, 2. Last one of the 3. This is good though, because people always ask me, how long does it take to make the shoes? And I do not time it. I get in here and I get in the zone, and some shoes take me, you know, go very fast. And then some shoes I need to elaborately make tons of tiny little beaded embellishments, and it takes forever. But I love it, so, you know, it all feels like time well spent to me. And the feeling of giving them away is the best feeling in the whole world. I mean, at the very least, top 3. And I will say this rope was kind of the same gold color. That helps. Even when you're using an opaque glitter and the base underneath the glitter is not going to show through. It helps if it matches a little, because if you have a little spot where you missed or anything like that, it just plays nicely. All right. Okey-dokes. Okay. And you can use this shape of shoe to do slices of pie. I do that sometimes. But for these, just for efficiency and kind of cranking out a nice little batch of shoes, we're just going to make these all slices of pizza. Easy peasy. All right. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And when those dry, we'll do the second coat on the silver, and then we'll start to add sauce and fake cheese and fake toppings, and they'll be really cute little sculptures. All right. Let me set these. Touch up any spots that I smudged. Let me set these out of the way. All right, so these are the shoes that we started at the beginning of our session. They aren't like bone dry, but they're dry enough. I wouldn't start like gluing stuff on them or anything, but they're dry enough that we can do the heel. And that way we have a full coat, our full first coat, and next time we can start layering multiple coats to give it the real finished glittered look. Okay. And I'm getting pretty close to the bottom of my little like dregs mix, but that's okay because when I switch over to top coats, I'll go into my fresh bag. All right. Set that down. King cakes are one of the fastest shoe designs you can do because they are monochromatic. It's all one color and then it gets that fake frosting. And I will show you all the fake frosting in a slightly later shoe session. Because as I have been reorganizing and cleaning up my craft room, I've been finding all my little half full. This is how I make the frosting. It's a product called Glitter Snow. All right, she looks pretty good. Set her down gently. And then last one. And then we'll call it for tonight. I could start making my pizza toppings, but you know, slow and steady. We don't need to get we don't need to haul off and do everything at once. And as I said in the last session, I'll be in here like, maybe once a week is kind of what I'm going to shoot for, because I figure if I do about once a week and I do like about an hour, give or take, that should be enough to get all of our shoes done if we work slow and steady. And we're going to find out. If that is not the situation, I will step it up or I will make extra stuff. I do have a little bald spot here, so I am going to go ahead and grab that, because why not? Alrighty. So we technically touched 9 shoes today, but we are shooting for averaging 6 shoes per session. We want to touch 6 shoes per session. That's 1, 2, 3, and then I've got my pizza slices that are in progress, and I also started some additional pizza slices. So that, I think, is where we are for today. I'm going to do the next session. We'll do another coat on these, and then we'll probably start doing stuff like making toppings, and I might also start working on my flip-flops and showing you guys how I handle those. So if you have flip-flops in your stash and you would like to follow along, not a bad time to start doing that. Otherwise, thank you to everyone who joined me, and I will see you guys next time, and I hope everybody has a lovely evening with or without glitter, and I will see y'all next time. Good night.